I admit, it took until the mom said to take Johnny and leave before it finally dawned on me who the father was. It was so funny because I'm like, oh, that's the one that Ghostblade killed. Okay, I know where this is going. It's like, and then the moment they went to the cabin, I'm like, yep, that's where Sheng died, and that's who he was talking about letting go. Which sucks. Dude, little Johnny was driving around and just reminiscing with Ghostblade. And now we get the whole backstory where he's literally like, I'm going to get vengeance. I'm going to get him for you, Dad. Don't worry. And he's driving around and becoming his friend, which makes me think the moment that Lucky Cyan and Queen were driving their car and suddenly Big Johnny showed up, that was probably the point in which little Johnny figured out that Ghostblade did it. Now, the question mark is going to be, how does he find out? Unless Ghostblade just kind of randomly says that, oh, your father is Sheng. Like, does he bring up Sheng at some point and he just knows that Sheng? Does somebody come over there and whisper in little Johnny's ear, hey, by the way, Ghostblade there? He was the one that killed your dad. It wasn't Vortex. It just sucks. This entire episode is just like scummy. And I did find a lot of this episode charming outside of Sheng and Ghostblade kind of being solidified right here. That's what happened back then. It was a charming episode because it's just, yeah, cheesy. Let's admit it's cheesy. All the little references and comments that Johnny made in the previous episode is literally shown here. Oh, this was the point that Big Johnny was eating the flowers. There's the callback there. He mentioned that my son is always a real rascal eating those flowers. That was the point right there. It's just like everything that inspired him to be how he is. The stars. The fact that Big Johnny is his son. Well, it's because he fell from the sky. He was an alien. Again, an alien creature in that spaceship, and you know, his father brought it in, and he called it his son because of the stories that his mother said. Like, it's all stupid cheesy, but I liked it. Like, it was a super charming episode overall. It's just, again, the entire time I'm thinking about, gosh, little Johnny wants to kill Ghostblade. He's gonna kill Ghostblade. It sucks. It sucks. Which really kind of makes me wonder, what's little Johnny's power gonna be? I mean, we've established in this episode, seeing little Johnny's backstory, that he doesn't really have power yet. It does kind of make me wonder if he will follow in his father's footsteps, and thus being seen as Sheng's son, people will immediately think of him as having healing powers, and thus he's going to be basically a Pokemon trainer with healing powers. That's where my assumption's going there. But really sucks seeing how hard he was trying to heal his wife. Because that's what I kind of figure, going in the beginning of this episode, that's sort of where my mind goes to. It opens up with little Johnny, and he's hanging out with Mom. Mom's telling the story about the falling stars, and how that's how children come to their mama and papa. And yeah, eventually Sheng shows up, and he's there for a brief moment before he gets a call. We see that he ends up going to the spaceship. He was called to go there. He looks around inside there. Eventually gets attacked by Big Johnny. It was so funny because I had that brief shot in his eyeball, and I'm like, I wasn't sure if they're going to come back there. I'm like, that was totally Big Johnny. Yeah, that's totally Big Johnny. But yes, cuts back to little Johnny's mom not doing too well, and he comes up there, and he tries to heal his wife. And that sucks because that assumes, and again, he leaves right after this, the assumption here is that Sheng at some point probably met his wife. And I don't know if it was before or after that she was sick. And the assumption here is that he's been probably trying to raise the ranks and getting more and more trust in order to heal whatever illness that she has. Now, here's the interesting thing, because later on, because again, wife dies, he has no reason to be there anymore. He ends up leaving by the wishes of his wife. Later on, when he's talking to Vortex, he says something to the effect that no matter how much trust value you have, no matter how many people put their trust in you, you can't heal somebody unless you trust yourself. There was this idea that, yeah, I got so much trust value. I raised so high in the ranks. I'm assuming that he was pretty high up there. He was in the tower and everything. I'm assuming he's pretty high up, but he still didn't have enough. Now, there's still the question mark here. Was he there for his wife, and his wife was a hero? Or was his wife there because he was the hero? It didn't really get specific that if she had trust value too or not. I don't remember seeing anything on her wrist or anything like that, but my assumption is that he was basically trying to raise solely for her. And that sucks. That sucks. But yeah, she makes the wish, please leave here with Johnny. Leave this place. I'm not going to be able to stay here, but just go. So this implies to me that, yeah, she probably knew that he was only there for her, and that he's now pretty much free from this entire curse to have to be here for the sake of her. Just leave everything behind and take Johnny and go. But there's a side of me that kind of wonders if she's seen the nastiness in this entire hero system. And, I mean, we see that at the very end of the episode. I mean, again, tying it to Ghostblade's story is the idea at some point, which I think Ghostblade was working for Shang. My assumption is that Shang, or somebody that was paying him to get rid of Shang, sent Ghostblade to take them down because, again, he was somehow tied to Vortex. And whoever Vortex was going against, this person that he said that he was going to have to fight again for X, that person probably seen Shang as being an assistant to Vortex, and so they wanted to get rid of Shang in order to take down Vortex. Again, I think she's seen something. And again, it could just be the fact that she knew that this place was a curse for him. You're only here in order to gain your value, in order to heal me. You don't have to worry about it no more. Get out of this whole thing. Get out of here. I know you're not happy here. That kind of stuff. So it sucks. It sucks. It sucks. And again, I think the bigger tragedy story in Shang's character is that all signs point to him raising his value for the sole sake of saving his wife, and he never did. Again, if you don't trust in yourself, you can't do it. I kind of wonder, that's sort of an oddity there, where I kind of wonder, what would that be? Did he always think that he'd never get enough trust value to be able to heal her, and thus it never worked? That's my assumption. Anyways, yes, she passes away. It looks like the place turns into a pigsty. And it's like he just not doing well after his wife died, obviously. But eventually, yes, Johnny ends up meeting Big Johnny. And yeah, father says that, yeah, I found him in a spaceship. He came down from the sky. Oh, so he's like the stars. Okay, so that's my son. He's now my son. So I'm like, oh, there, that click right there. That's why he keeps calling Big Johnny his son, because he came from the sky like mom told the stories. So there you go. They're just having a lot of fun together. But again, eventually, Shing follows through with it and leaves the tower before being confronted by Vortex, or X at the time, claiming that he's, getting rid of a lot of his potential. He worked so hard to get in that position, and he's wanting him to reconsider. It was kind of interesting at some point he does, or at least immediately, he does not acknowledge little Johnny. That is his first time seeing little Johnny, and he wants to introduce himself to him, and it seems like his father steps in front of him. And my assumption there is that Shing probably knew that if they get a hold of my son, they're going to just turn them into a healing bot like I am. They're basically going to try to mold him into the same thing I am, which again, sort of does make me wonder if little Johnny's ability is going to be healing. That we're going to find out that him following in his father's footsteps in the public eye, he's seen as another Sheng, and so thus his power is going to be healing. He's going to be a healing Pokemon trainer, which is going to be pretty cool. If he can literally have Big Johnny fighting on the front line, and he's just constantly healing him, that's going to be insanely OP. But yes, they end up moving out in the middle of the boonies, end up fixing up a cabin. That place was a fixer-upper. It was a fixer-upper. It was a cute little scenes there, kind of seeing them just mess around. Big Johnny being a little nasty little gremlin, doing bad things, eating the bulb. And the old fellows that keep coming by and just getting freaked out by random things was really, really cute. But it was interesting that later on we do find out that it seems like this community, or at least one of the kids' fathers, was of some sort of belief that heroes are like bringers of curses. Like the heroes of the city bring misfortune. And I can sort of see that. If a lot of things they're not involved with, the heroes don't really come there to help them out, you would assume that most of the times when the heroes do show up, it's just going to be there to cause problems. And so they just view heroes as being bad. And that could technically tie into what Vortex said just before he left the elevator. He said something to the effect of, after downfall, people will never be granted powers that surpass the gods. So it makes me wonder if something happened, because I think this is technically Ghostblade would be the furthest back timeline what we've had so far, but it didn't really show much. It just showed him going around killing people. With Johnny's story, we're at least hearing people talking about what's currently happening. And Vortex is specifically saying that at some point, a downfall happened. Now, downfall could be a name of somebody. After downfall, after somebody named Downfall, or after a downfall, some sort of event, people will never again be granted powers that surpass the gods. This makes me kind of wonder if this might be tied to the commission itself. Is there a possibility that the moment they discovered these powers, people were getting so much power, they caused some sort of destruction, a downfall? Or again, a person named Downfall gained so much power that they had the power of the gods, and they had to take that person down. Thus, possibly the commission, or at least some sort of backroom group, some secret society, is essentially puppeteering the background, saying, okay, this person's too powerful, take him out. This person's getting too much, take him down. We can't have somebody, a single person, have that much power. And I think it might possibly be tied into the creation of the tournament itself. Is the tournament a way of sort of gauging how much power each individual has, bringing them to one place so they can find out, are they too powerful? Do we need to get rid of them? Do we need to build somebody else up to take down somebody whenever they get too high up? That's sort of what I'm kind of wondering is that they're kind of commenting about. And again, this society out here they're moving out to, or again, at least this one person's parents, might be somebody that is recalling that there is this dangerous side that outsiders sort of see from the big city heroes, that they're dangerous people. Why are people in the town spending all their time on FOMO and social media, raising up the next hero and getting excited about them and cheering them on when you're basically playing with massive weapons? You're messing around with massive weapons that you're entrusting. Again, a lot of what Rock was telling Zach that one time, you got to keep these people under collar. They're powerful. They're dangerous. You can't just willy-nilly throw them around like with Shindig. Anyways, cool stuff there. Interesting stuff there. But yeah, eventually they build a little grave for the mother, and Johnny's talking to his father about how snotty big Johnny is. And he's like, yeah, you used to do that stuff all the time. Well, why is mom always smiling? She's really good at that. Here we get that little kind of sense of this is why little Johnny is the way he is. This is why he's always positive. It's what his father told him here. Your mother was faking her smiles. She always fooled every single one of us. Used to say that sorrow can't heal wounds, nor miraculously bring back the dead, but allows us to remember what our hearts truly value, truly need. So when you're sad, you need to cry your heart out. I'm like, yep, pretty much in the car. Out of nowhere, he just bursts into tears, snot-nosed and everything. It's because his father, because of his mom, told him, cry your eyes out. You're feeling sad. And he was feeling sad for Ghostblade at that moment. Ghostblade, the guy that killed his dad. Reminder, by the way. And yeah, then smile afterwards. And then have this little big Johnny eating the flowers. Again, cool little kind of nod back, even though it was literally the previous episode, so it's not like it's a big mind-blowing callback. But yeah, that's when we run to the neighborhood kids, the bullies, capture Big Johnny, and then Big Johnny transforms very temporarily. So he gets an idea that his Big Johnny is super powerful. I keep wanting to call him Little Johnny. I hate that aspect. Starts training him, a little montage of them hanging around and training and everything like that. And eventually, yes, Vortex shows up to try to recruit Shen again. Now, I don't believe this is the case, but there is a side of me that kind of wonders if Vortex came there knowing that Ghostblade was coming, and he came there for the sole sake of trying to recruit him one more time. I don't think so, because just the comments that he made didn't sound like he was there to protect him. He did mention something about the fact if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for your son. So it does imply that he at least knows that there is a threat coming, but I don't think that his side was the ones that hired Ghostblade. I think he was there one last time to try to pull him out of there. But yeah, he says, I know that the death affects you a lot, but there's people that need you. Like, there are people going to remember you, and you can heal anything. And yeah, this is where Sheng says that no matter how much I get, it's just numbers. If I don't, believe in myself, I can't heal it. And yeah, Vortex gets mad. Now, interesting. This is interesting. This is like one of those moments where it's like, I think somebody messed up with the translation on one of the ends. I meant to actually do a transcribing of the actual Japanese, but essentially in the dub, it says something like, I don't want to fight you, and I know you don't want to fight either, or something like that. It sounds like hey, I don't want to hurt you, and you don't want to hurt me. We're not enemies. In the subtitles, it implies something. He says there's no need to threaten me when he brings up the sun, and he says, on the contrary, I'm your biggest threat. Question mark? What would healing powers be a threat to Vortex? I kind of wonder if the subtitles are wrong, because again, that implies the idea that he has some sort of capability that Vortex wouldn't be able to counter. Which again, we find out what Vortex is. We didn't name him that time. We just knew him as X. We find out that he is Vortex. And Vortex has the idea of pulling anything into a vortex. Which, yes, Shang, if he has the ability to heal, he could just sit there and heal himself inside the vortex until Vortex, runs out of ability or, gets exhausted. Something like that. What would healing be his, worst enemy? Like, he's going to heal him to death? Well, I mean, what's to say that his power is not really technically healing, but it's manipulating the flesh? Could he technically use his power to do the reverse of healing and harm somebody? I mean, it's a possibility. He's technically a bringer of death and a bringer of life. I will admit that it's kind of odd now, knowing that Sheng's ability was healing, that Ghostblade was even able to kill him. I guess it's simply the fact that Ghostblade gave him a mortal wound and he's not immortal. If he wanted to live, he would have to heal himself, and if he's struck in the heart or whatever, he's not going to be able to heal himself fast enough. He's dead. But yeah, anyways, Johnny ends up hanging out with his friends. We find out now they're friends. I was like, here we go again. Nope, they're actually friends now. But yeah, his friends have brought a bunch of comic books and stuff like that, talking about Shen's days as a hero. Yes, ends up finding out that X, Vortex, was the guy that just came by there. And one of the kids makes a unfortunate comment about, if your dad can heal, then why didn't you heal your mom? It's like, oof. It's like, dude, shut up, dude. What the hell are you saying? But yeah, it seems to imply the idea, because one of the kids said that heroes from the city are bringers of chaos or something like that, little Johnny decided to run home. I'm guessing that's the reason why he just suddenly wanted to run home. But yeah, he goes home, ends up finding that his dad is dead, goes up there, says he's going to get vengeance for him, going to find out the truth, assumes that it's Vortex, and then yeah, Big Johnny goes nuts. And this is the scene that we've seen in Ghostblade's episode. Suddenly out of nowhere, Big Johnny shows up. But it looks like Vortex is the one that actually responds to it. He's still nearby and wants to take Big Johnny back to the commission. Be a great lab rat. Again, the guy down the city is like, oh, it's the heroes. They're going to bring chaos, the evil heroes. The kid's like, no, that's the hero, Dad. It's Vortex. And yeah, nearby is Ghostblade. He's just spectating after creating complete chaos, which I guess credits to the guy's dad. Because, yeah, Ghostblade created chaos. Which, yeah, this kind of makes me wonder what's going to happen next. Because my assumption is that, because we've never seen Vortex ever again. This is the first time we've ever seen him, and he's X. This guy's powerful. So my assumption here is that Big Johnny's going to take him down. And maybe that's why little Johnny catches the attention of somebody to come in there and recruit him, as they find out that Big Johnny was the one that took down Vortex, and little Johnny is the controller of Big Johnny. That's my assumption is going to happen. But again, it kind of more sucks in this story is the fact that, again, little Johnny assumes that it's Vortex, and it's not him. I don't recall little Johnny in the later timelines ever mentioning having to look for Vortex or looking for the one that killed his family. And so that's sort of an added thing that I think that Vortex is going to die in this fight, and little Johnny's going to think that he got his revenge, and thus he's going to leave it behind. But again, going back to my theories, I think that how we're going to end the next episode, which we're probably going to continue little Johnny's story here and go into him joining the organization or whatever that he joins. It's probably going to end the next episode with him running into Ghostblade or somebody that informs him that Ghostblade was the one that did it. And then Big Johnny's going to transform, and that's when Lucky Cyan and Queen's coming by there. That's my predictions. That's where I think it's going to go. But solid episode overall. Like I said, I really enjoy this episode, mainly around just watching the shenanigans. And again, what sort of formed little Johnny as a character. I think he's just a fun, lovable dude. He's just a good boy. I like him. So anyways, that's my thoughts on episode 17 of Tu Bian Yingxiong X. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below. If you like this content and want to support the channel more, become a member of the channel. But until next time, y'all take care.